woke up this morning with the sun down, shining in.
Okay, Roy, what would you do if I threw at your head?
Well,
first of all, you have to wait for the ball to get there. You might do a Sudoku or something while it was in flight. But once the ball arrived and it was close to your head, what would you do?
If you threw it at my head, I'd just reach up and catch it with my bare hand and toss it back to you.
And by the way, that was one of my favorite moments in my years of covering the Twins. Is the time, I can't remember who it was, somebody drilled Torrey Hunter and he picked up the ball and threw it right back at the guy. That was great.
It was great. It was in Cleveland, I think.
I think you're right.
And I don't know if it was Sabathia or who it was, but it was.
I don't think it was Sabathia. I think it was a Latin American right-hander, if my memory serves at all.
Funny. You know, you never really know what you're going to do. I mean, sometimes, usually on the first time incident like that, you might say something to the pitcher, and you would expect your pitcher then to hit somebody. But subsequently in the game, which actually Kyle Gibson did, he hit the catcher in the leg, which was the professional thing to do.
Right.
The pitch that Porcello threw was not a professional thing to do. I think it's had to do with the fact that Gibson was trying to come in on J.D. Martinez in the first inning of the game, and Martinez went down. The ball wasn't anywhere nearly as close. He actually went down because he lost his balance. Mm-hmm. But he was kind of diving in at the plate, and the ball was in, probably shoulder height or chest high, something like that. And he had to kind of move back out of the way, lost his balance a little bit, and went down. So it looked like Gibson had thrown under his chin, which he had not. And I guess Porcello felt like he had to retaliate for his player, and also, by the way, Escobar has been tearing it up, and it hurt the Red Sox the first two games. So he was the logical guy. If he hits him in the knee, or in the backside or the ribs, there's nothing at all about it. You run down to first base but up under his chin like that. If he doesn't throw his arm up, that's and get hit in the about right above the elbow, then that's close. And I've never ever thought that there was a place for that. I've been hit before. I know I've had guys throw at me before. When you know for sure that it's coming, or that once it did happen, oh yeah, well that was pretty obvious. And that's always been part of the game. It's less a part of the game now, but it's always been part of the game. But throwing at somebody's head, it's just never. It's not right.
Right. He's Roy Smalley. This is Roy Smalley's Chin Music. We're actually going to tell some old school College World Series stories. We're going to get more into the Twins' developments and their injuries and their depleted roster. Thanks to berrycoffee.com for sponsoring the program. If you'd like to sponsor the program as well, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com. When you listen to the show, if you can, please download. It helps us as we talk with national advertisers. And subscribe. iTunes, favorite podcast app, whatever you like. We appreciate everybody who listens. You can find all the shows at talknorth.com. We did get some requests recently to tell some College World Series stories, given that the Gophers made a little run toward the World Series. And I know you've told the story before, but it's been a long time, and some of your stories are so good we have to bring them back periodically. You did face the Gophers, correct?
Yeah, we did. But before we get there, speaking of getting thrown at, I did tell you the White Sox-Yankees story, didn't I? When I was pretty sure that I was going to be the designated target.
I think you have, but I think that's worth repeating as well. So let's hear that one.
As long as we're talking about the history of being thrown out of guys retaliating in baseball, I was playing third base for the Yankees. We were in Old Comiskey. The White Sox dugout is on the third base side, so I'm relatively close to their bench. And Dane Righetti's pitching for us. It's about the fourth or fifth inning, something like that. And Righetti's sailing along. He's got a good fastball this particular day. Has held the White Sox down. And Big Bull Lazinski comes up to the plate. And the next pitch, the first pitch to the Bull, hit him right between the shoulder blades. I mean, a 97-mile-an-hour fastball just drilled him right in the middle of the back. And immediately my thought was, well, I wonder what that was about. Righetti's had pretty good control, so that was kind of surprising. And I also don't recall that there's any reason to throw at Luzinski or anybody on the White Sox from a Righetti standpoint. And as I'm thinking these thoughts, I hear, because I'm close to the White Sox dugout, they are screaming at Righetti, as convinced that he did it on purpose, and saying that they're gonna get him or get somebody. And immediately I'm thinking, I mean, they're livid over there, and I'm thinking, man, I wouldn't want to be the third guy out. And the reason I thought that is so that people know, generally speaking, and it happened the other day with Escobar, if you want to drill somebody, you get the first two guys out in an inning, and you hit the third guy, because you feel like you can afford to give up a base runner to make the point. If you've got two outs, you do it earlier than that, you could be starting a big inning for somebody. But you get two out, and if it's really that important that you're going to drill somebody, that's when you get the third hitter. So I'm thinking, wow, let's see, who would be up third next inning? Because I think they're going to drill somebody. I said, well, let's see. Mattingly made the last out. Let's say it's Winfield, and then it's Nettles, and crap, it's me. I'm up third. So we get him out. I go in to the bench, get my helmet on. I'm in the hole, third hitter up, and Winfield's up, and I'm going, come on, Winnie, get a hit. Because they're not going to hit me, hit somebody after somebody's on. Get a hit. And he grounds out to short, and now I'm on deck, and Nettles is up. And Nettles' nickname was Puff, and I'm going, come on, Puff, get a hit. And Nettles pops up. I go, damn. So I walk up to the plate, and I kind of get my back foot. I'm hitting left-handed, and I kind of dig my left foot in a little bit in my spot in the batter's box. I look down at Carlton Fisk, who's the catcher, and I had I'd played against Fisk for a long time. We'd been friendly. I look down, and he's looking up at me. He's in his crouch, and he's looking up at me through his mask. And I said, how's it going, Pudge? And he looked up at me and said, better than you. And the next pitch hit me right in the knee.
That's what I like about the old school stories about this stuff. Is it really was just, okay, this is the way we do it, and you know what to expect.
Yeah.
And it's going to hurt for a little bit, and you're going to limp down to first base, and everybody's going to move on.
I went down to first base, and everybody moved on. That was the end of it.
I'm going to throw one of my weird... it's my theory, of course, it's a weird theory. I'm going to throw one of my weird theories at you that you might completely laugh at, but it'll be worth getting your reaction one or another. I've always thought people describe these pitchers who will throw at people as these, intense, macho, tough guys. I've always thought, and I've thought this in all sports, it takes a lot more macho to take it than to deliver it. I've never thought that throwing a ball at somebody was a macho act. I thought being able to take it or survive it, I thought that's the tougher act.
Well, I would tell you was in old school baseball, I think delivering the drilling somebody as a pitcher when the pitchers used to hit.
Well, I guess if you knew you were in line for the retaliation, I guess that would make it tougher.
I mean, I think that makes you pretty doggone tough when you know you're going to get drilled and there's a potential for you to get drilled in. Well, I'll tell you a story. Stan Williams of the Dodgers, I believe it was Stan Williams. I might be wrong about that, but there was a pitcher, and I'm going to say it was Stan Williams, but it doesn't really matter who it was because it's just such a great story. And he used to keep a book of the guys that he was going to get. And, somebody that is hitting him hard, and he'd have the guys' names written down, and he'd have, if he really wanted, he'd put a skull and crossbones next to the guy's name. And so a pitcher got, I think it might have been Turk Farrell, it was one of these old guys. He gets traded over to the Dodgers, if it was Stan Williams, if I'm right about that. And Stan Williams went up to him, and he showed so this particular pitcher evidently had gotten had drilled a lot of Dodger hitters, and Stan had never had a chance to get to him. And he went over, now they're teammates. He goes over and shows in the book. He has his name written down there, and he had like 5 skull and crossbones next to him. He says, man, this is the luckiest trade of your life. Because one of these days, I was going to be pitching when you were up.
That's awesome. Let's get to the College World Series stories and the current events with the Twins, who had a really.
I got one more.
Week. Okay,
I got one more. I got Don Drysdale. Now, Don Drysdale was a tough, macho son of a gun. I mean, he really, really was. 6'5", threw hard, nasty, would do anything to win, that type. So the story goes, Vin Scully told me the story one time. Drysdale's on the mound, and a rookie comes up for the other team. And, first time against Drysdale, I hadn't been in the big leagues long. He steps into the box, right-handed, and he starts digging in. And finally now he's ready. He looks up, and Drysdale's standing right over the top of it, looking right down on him. Drysdale had walked down off the mound, and it's standing right in the batter's box. The young guy looks up and almost fell over with shock, surprise. And Drysdale leans over and says, and I won't use the name he called him, but he says, dig it deep, so-and-so, because I'm going to bury you in it. And the next pitch, it just absolutely flipped him. I mean, the guy was on his back the next pitch. So that was in the old days.
Let's tell the folks about Berry Coffee, berrycoffee.com, and a different website, my32market.com, my32market.com. We've told you all about the coffee, the quality of the coffee, the brewing processes, the filtered water, all the different things you can do. I think this is really innovative, and if I owned the kind of a business where I had an office, I would want this in my office. It's Berry Coffee Markets. They call it a 3-square market. You replace vending machines with a state-of-the-art mini convenience store. You give employees everything they want within steps of their workspace. Provide fresh, healthy meals. Increase the possibility of product types and sizes. And you can do calorie disclosures. You can set them up to eat something other than candy bars at work, and chips. Because I know, as someone who's I learned through the course of my life, I'm very sensitive to diet. I have celiacs. I know that if I eat carbs or sugars, it kind of, gives me a lull. I mean, if I could have had this kind of stuff available to me throughout my life, I would have had a lot fewer of those really sleepy afternoons where you're trying to keep your eyes open as you're working.
Everything about what Steve Brem does and his Berry Coffee crew and strategists, they're all about not only green and environmentally conscious, but healthy body conscious for people. And this is just a great extension of what they've been doing. We've talked about before with the healthy water drinks, purified water, purified ice capabilities, and it's just healthy waters and juices made with that purified water. So this is just an extension of what is vitally important to them, which is the health of all of the planet and all of us inhabitants. And it's a cool mindset.
Absolutely. So berrycoffee.com, my32market.com. Check it out, please, and drink their coffee. That's the simplest way to enjoy their services. So let's get to the College World Series stories. You faced Dave Winfield?
Well, I was fortunate enough to go to the University of Southern California in the midst of the absolute glory days of that school. And I think our coach, Rod Dato, who is the John Wooden of college baseball, I think 10 or 11 or 12 national titles. But to set the stage for us playing the Gophers in the College World Series, when I transferred into school, I desperately wanted to go to USC out of high school. They recruited me as a preferred walk-on. They wanted me to walk on and see how things went. They didn't offer me a scholarship, and being an expensive private school, we couldn't afford for me to go there. So I went to a junior college for a year, and then turned out I was named Southern California Junior College Player of the Year, and then USC came back after my third semester. It was just before the baseball season started, and they offered me a scholarship, and I transferred into school into USC at a time when they had just won 2 national championships the previous 2 years. That was at 1970 and 71, and I transferred in right before the baseball